Thanksgiving Day 1911 found Carl S. Carlson marrying Edith Erickson. The city directory found them residing over 109 Crescent Street in Jamestown, New York. Here's what the house looks like today. The next directory finds the Carlsons residing at 13 2 Street in Jamestown. It is here that Hank and Phil were born at home. Ruth was born at the Jamestown General Hospital, and Grandma Carlson was brought to the hospital in a horse and buggy with Esther Sandberg taking care of the kids. There was a barn in back of the 2 Street house that housed that horse and buggy. Tell me about what was first home do you remember?
Having a horse and buggy, and we playing in a haymow. But it's very vague, and then we moved up on the Sampson Street.
Well, what about 2 Street? Yeah, I think it was 2 Street.
2 Street, that's what it was.
Yeah, it's not
2
Water
Street.
Street.
It was Water Street, you're right.
Yeah, it was 2 Street.
There's where he had his buggy.
And I think that barn, didn't Hank say that barn was still there, Lyle? On 2 Street there, they still have that little...
I think the barn was down, but the house is there, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
And does Hank have a house with the pictures of all the relatives of it on Sampson Street that he has now?
Yeah.
And we moved in there when I was real small, you know, right after the war, about that time. And we lived there until about by the time you were born. 19, I'm trying to think.
Well, until I went to college, because I remember when I was at my first year of college, then they moved back to Sampson Street.
Yeah. From
when I was at college, that would have been 46, 45, 46. And because you lived up on the 3rd floor. He lived up on the 3rd floor when he was first married. And Mama used to live up there on the 3rd floor when she lived with us. And that's one thing. We had our, you probably remember more than I do, but when Aunt Ruth and Aunt Esther came over from Sweden and Mama, they all came over and stayed, lived at our house.
Not the complete time. They had a little apartment at one time.
Yeah.
But
when they first came,
they stayed, right?
Yeah, they stayed at our house, and then they got an apartment. And there was a big house. It was a 9-room house with an attic that had rooms for more, and 5 bedrooms. Was it 5 bedrooms? And then big, huge family kitchen.
They had 5 bedrooms and a full basement.
Yeah.
And we used to have a coal bin, and we heated the house with coal. Up until, oh gosh, I guess the 30s when they put in the gas heater. I'm trying to think.
Well, until I went to college, because I remember when I was at my first year of college, then they moved back to Sampson Street.
Yeah. From 6 or 27. And we lived there until...
6.
Yeah.
And they moved while I was in college.
It was about 1946.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know which came first. Probably this second one even came before the other one. Was in our kitchen there on 48 Chapman Street in the middle of the night, and we had, you know, not only a gas burner in the stove, but there was a wood burner, and Mother had the wood burner going, and the oven door was open, and evidently I was very sick. Because the recollection I have is her holding me in her arms and rocking me through the night, taking care of me as I was sick. And I thought, boy, what a picture of my mom, of a mom taking care of a child, you know, through the night, sitting up through the night because her child is sick. Well, there are a lot of recollections I have of Mom through the years, and I knew how she loved to read, and I knew a little bit of her spirit, and I sure appreciated Mom, and loved her so much. Forward to coming home after I'd been gone and seeing Mom and hugging her. Then I have some recollections of Dad.
And of course Christmas, you know, every Christmas we would spend over to Uncle Edith's, Uncle Carl. He was always the last one there because he had to close the market. He had to stand on the market and sell meat until the very last minute. And then he'd come home and everything would be set. And we'd generally have to wait for him to come home.
When Henry come,
and the good thing about it was that the kids were in the kitchen waiting until the big folks got through eating. There was no eating of the kids. The kids waited until the older folks got their meals all taken care of, then the kids could eat. So
they had to get the dishes all taken care of and everything before things could happen.
But Uncle Carl, he was the last one to get home because of the work, you know, staying on the market. And I can remember going from high school to high school.
We weren't well-to-do, but we were, I would think, middle class in the whatever you draw the
yeah, we were the first ones to have a telephone and the first ones to have the electric refrigerator and all the modern conveniences.
Yeah.
So Daddy saw that we had, I think everybody, when they wanted to, they all came over to our house to use our telephone. We were the only ones in the neighborhood to have a phone at the time. Everybody had to come to our house. And we had help. Mother we had people stay with us and
cook. We always had a large breakfast. As soon as we were off to school, she'd start dinner. It was on the table by 12 noon. Dad would come in and we'd all eat together. Then at night, we had a light supper, platter soup, or fresh baked rolls even, as Dad often went to church or worked late. The market was open on Saturday nights till 9 p.m. Saturday night supper was hot, homemade rolls, cinnamon or plain, whichever we wanted. She had them both. But we didn't get these until after our night bath, which we took once a week. Saturday we changed underwear. We took once a week on Saturday. And we changed underwear Sunday morning and Wednesday morning. Times are different now, right, Craig? Greg? When we were small, Mother would go to church with Dad Sunday night. Elsie or Esther Sandberg would stay with us. And once a month on Thursday, Mom had Ladies' Aid, and that was Mom's time to go out alone. After the meeting, she'd shop with Aunt Sigrid. She'd get cloth and thread and everything, so she'd be real happy for the whole month, I think, because that's the only time she had a chance to go out and do much shopping. And she always brought a treat home for us. And our treat was really jelly, orange slices. Oh, what a treat that was, from the 5 and 10 cent store up there on 3rd Street. Now more and more stuff.
Greeks over there, I think that's...
And then we had a neighbor across the street, Anderson, who was trying to chase us away from them because we made too much noise, or the ball would fall on his lot, and he was almost spastic about keeping everything just so. And
he'd always call the cops on us neighbor kids.
Daddy,
your grandfather, but Daddy was always going down to the police station and saying, my kid didn't do this, and he was always reporting the kids between the Constantines and us and the Carlson kids and them. He was always reporting us to the police. Not me, but my brothers.
No, of course. This didn't include you, did it, Phil?
No, Phil was the good one. I think it was Henry and Harold were the... Yes, I think he does. Well, then I remember we always used to play, the neighbor kids always used to gather under the streetlight by our house because the streetlight, and then we play kick the stick or kick the can or sneaks, and then all the neighbor kids would get together and we'd have more fun playing these old-fashioned games that they don't play anymore. No, they've got TV instead. But we used to have more fun. And then the curfew. Remember from down right below us, the light plant there would sound off at 9 o'clock, the curfew, and then we all had to go to bed. So that was a sign. When that 9 o'clock curfew blew, boy, you had to get inside and go. You couldn't be outside after 9 o'clock, and it was right below us. So boy, it really made a lot of noise at our place. And then I remember that the dirt that we used to get from that smokestack, from the mother would hang out her wash, and then the light plant, yeah, and down on Steel Street. And then we always enjoyed the Albanians around the neighborhood there, and always went over to their church for Easter and
Christmas.
Yeah, they'd walk around the church at Easter time. The Greeks always walked around the church at midnight 3 times in the procession. Good Friday it was, Good Friday night. And we'd go over there and get in on there, walk around with them. And but they were special, very, very special.
They were special people.
Very special people, the Constantines. And I know Daddy often talked of, he needed money at one time, and Tom Constantine loaned him the money, and Daddy says he never wanted me to put it down on paper or anything, you know. He just, you know, here you take the $200 or what it is, and Dad says he didn't want a note or a loan, you know, written. It was a mouth agreement, and that's all they needed between the two of them, and that's how they trusted each other. And he couldn't speak English very good, but but they had a wonderful relationship with them, very close relationship with them. Had Hank fight for you, or what was the story?
He would fight for me, but he also was an instigator many times. I remember when we were just before we moved to Chap Street, and that place by the, we would get these wooden boxes, and Hank and his friends would steal little 2x4s from the lumber yard, which was down that area. And I remember one time they decided they ought to paint, so they swiped some paint out of the Woolworth store. It wasn't the right color, so they sent me back to change it. And I was small, I don't remember much, but they sent me in here.
You got the wrong color.
Yeah, I got the wrong color, yeah. I don't know if Henry remembers that or not, but...
Yes, I think he does.